Hi guys, welcome back to 40 Plus and Unfiltered. So today we're talking about the pension age, the state pension, retirement in general, and the scary world we currently live in. So the reason I'm doing this video, guys, because now I'm at the stage where I feel that I really carefully have to be thinking about my future and my retirement. See, I'm in a little bit of a worse position than probably most people because I don't actually have a private pension. And it's a very good reason for this, and I will explain this on a different video. So for me now, thinking about this carefully, it's very important. In fact, I really wish I would have thought about this probably 10 years ago, but it's better late than never, as they say. See, apparently there's a research out that they're talking about people, when they come to retirement age, a lot of people find themselves in a position where they can't actually afford to live. And it's not really because people been overspending or sort of doing silly things with the money, but because really what people been promised, it doesn't really correlate to current times. See, generally the retirement been sold to people, well, if you work really hard all your life and then comes your 65 or whatever is the retirement age, and you can just enjoy your life and do what you want. Well, see, that might have worked for the past generations, maybe not just imminent past generations, but a few generations back when the prices weren't that horrendous. But now things really change. But the whole idea that the pension stigma or pension encouragement for people, just the idea to make people understand by the government what people are going to be going through when they get to the retirement age, is really not the same. So current retirement age is 66. Okay, this is if you retire from the April 2016. It's then going to be going up to 67. And by the time I get to retire, the retirement age will be 68. This is a rather horrendous number. None of us really plan to work until 68, and technically nobody really will employ you at the age of 68, I'm pretty sure. But the point is, so the current state pension is £230 and 25p per week. Okay, and this is actually also based on your national insurance contribution. So this is the maximum amount you could possibly be getting. So if you only worked a couple of years of your life, then your state pension will be probably very little, if any at all. So believe this or not, right, it's not really changed for many years, and this is a scary thing. But by 2050, okay, the government predicted that, okay, your state pension will be between £12,000 and £13,000 a year. Okay, we're talking £12,000 a year. Okay, this is £1,000 a month. So this is £250 per week. So we're talking, okay, £20 increase, roughly, from what it is now, and then in 25 years down the line. Just think about it for the minute, okay? £25 difference a week in 25 years' time. Could you imagine the horrendous prices and things that are going to be happening, right? And they're only increasing this by £25. This is a joke. See, the problem is, so what have changed really for the past few years to what our previous generations had with the pension, and this is where the issue is. So obviously the cost of everything is outgrowing the wages. Yes, of course, they've been increasing the minimum wage price, absolutely. There are some efforts in make sort of better, things for people that work, better benefit, but the prices of everything else go stupendously high. We already know, be it your bills, be it your food, be it the energy prices, it's through the roof. Okay, we know the food. They're talking about the inflation. Now, food increased by 4 or 5%. Well, in fact, we know. Okay, the average products increased by approximately 25%. Okay, we're talking about food alone. Our water bill just last month actually more than doubled, just because. Okay, and it's everything, and everybody complaining about it. You guys know everything's gone up in price. The next thing, of course, to what the government say and what they think is we live longer. So yes, in many cases people do, and this is again, people are misplanning. The general people, the perceptions of the pension, people expect, say they retire 65, and somewhat people have an idea what they want to live in. I know it's not obviously nobody can predict how long they're going to be living for, but generally people live longer. Okay, so bearing in mind, if your retirement pot is X amount, if suddenly you live for another 5 or 10 years, you need to cater for that time to be able to actually afford to live and live comfortably. The next thing as well is the problem is with the late start. See, again, things those days, we go many years ago, were far easier. See, now it's late starts in terms of the savings. See, people have children, people have debt, people buying houses. So if you think all of those things are kind of money consuming. So you have children who are already on the back step, because kids do cost a lot. And they did when I done some research before I had the little one. Apparently kids will cost apparently like £250,000, okay, by the time they get to the age 18. And I know it sounds like a horrendous amount of money, but trust me, even with the general day-to-day cost to having a child, dressing them for school and everything else, it just runs up crazily. But of course, then we're talking about people having debts. People want to buy houses. People can't afford to buy houses at the early ages that we did when we were younger. So people are now waiting longer, saving up longer to be able to afford to buy houses, be it with the mortgages, probably. So when it comes to the retirement gets pushed under the carpet because people are thinking, well, I want to have my house, I want to pay for this, and really there's probably not a lot of money left in a kitty to be able to put extra money away for your pension. And of course, we're generally talking about the inflation. Okay, inflation kind of eats up at your savings, because generally the inflation, when the prices go up, your interest on the savings never really goes up that much higher. So generally, if you do have savings, especially then if you have debt, you really not really gaining a lot. And I know there is you can invest your money in a long sort of long-term bank account or saving account or ISAs. But generally, if you just sit on a small amount of money over the long period of time, the inflation of prices of cost of living will still rise quicker than your savings. So now I've got the list of the common traps apparently that people fall into when it comes to obviously the pensions and the retirement. So number one, apparently, I'll start later is the most common thing. And apparently, again, research shows that waiting a decade, so waiting 10 years before you start saving up, can actually halve what you end up with, even though if you start putting more money later on in life. So basically, research suggests that the earlier that you start putting the money into your pension, into your future, apparently the better it is. I don't know how they calculate the 10 years, and in terms of the you can't really catch it up, but it kind of really makes sense, I suppose. If you start saving early, it becomes a momentum and you're saving up yourself for your future. So number two, people think that the house is their pension. Okay, so yes, so if you are working towards your house, if you own your house, and if you then become mortgage free when you come to retire, many people think that it will become, well, your safety, if you wish. See, our mortgage, I think, pretty much finishes when we retire. So we'll be mortgage free, I think it's like a couple of years after that, or maybe before, I can't quite remember. But people think that you have a house and that's it. It's going to be your retirement, you're going to be relying on it. See, in some instance, okay, you could rely on that. If your house is very, very large and is worth lots of money, then you can sell your house, buy something smaller, and have some equity to live on. But in a lot of cases, when things go up in price, like houses, the house that you would also want to buy, even being a smaller house, will also go up in price. And then people make choices when they do move houses with their retirement. They generally move closer to amenities, to local shops, little villages. So that's the prices of those houses generally be a little bit more anyway. So you've got to understand what people are looking at, the housing as they are just the only one thing. But again, having a house is great, having the equity is great, but if you stay and retire in the same place, you still need food, you still need to pay bills, you're still going to have whatever repairs you need to do. Even if you sell your house, don't forget there's still taxes, there are moving costs, and then you still have to have enough to be able to support your lifestyle. And I get it, we're not all going to have the same lifestyle that we're used to when you retire. But thing is, though, you still have expenses. Again, a lot of people do, number three, is actually retire on a state pension, or they think they will be relying on the state pension. And I think it's where people probably not realize maybe what they'll be getting as a state pension, or what position they'll be financially thereon. But if we're talking about it, so the state pension, right, is going to be staying, like we said, at £230 in 2025. So if you're thinking of retiring, say, in a few years' time, see, that price of the pension will still be the same, but the prices will be going up. And I think people fail to see the current increases and relate them to what the prices will be when they come to retire. And I think we're all guilty of that, because you think, do you know what? £1,000 a month, roughly. Okay, if you got some savings, you got something going for it, you'll think, do you know what? £1,000 might really substitute and you'll be able to lead a general lifestyle. But you know what? If you look at it maybe 5 or 10 years down the line, £1,000 might just barely pay your bills. Nobody knows where we are. So relying on the state pension is clearly not a very good idea. And it brings me to the number 4 one that the statistics are talking about. The people actually thinking that because they have savings, they are safe for the future. Again, I think if you have a huge amount of money saved, if money is not object, then I think that's absolutely fine. But if you only have sort of a measly amount, or you think you might have a good amount, I don't know what the good amount would be, but say you have 10, 20, 30, 40,000 pounds sitting in a savings, again, it brings up to the same point I already mentioned, that I think people underestimate that the prices might go up higher. So yes, you what's £20,000 say now, it's a very good price and you can maybe live on it for, I don't know, maybe a year or two, I don't know, when you retire. But suddenly 5-10 years down the line, they might only last you a few months. And the number 5, and I get this, it's quite often comes up with this fantasy in the statistics, that people, what do they call it, the lifestyle creeps in. So basically I think what they mean is the midlife crisis. So when the people reach a certain age, 40, 50, 60, whatever time that get there, people feel that they want to spend money. And I think it goes with, well, I worked all my 40 years of my life and I deserved it now. So we're talking about is understand people doing this before they actually retire. Say people like going through the midlife crisis, say normally 40, 50 years of age, people think, oh, I'm going to splash out on a new car, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, because, well, I worked hard, right? So that means I have to see something tangible for it. And again, a lot of them fall into that thing. But I think what happens is that people, rather than just buying yourself one item and be content with it. So if you really feel like you really, really want to buy yourself a new car, you do it and be content with it. But as I understand, it becomes like a pandemic type thing that people get so into this, well, I deserve this, I have some money, so let's spend this, because nobody knows how long how long we have left, which is kind of understandable. But you can't obviously live your life all just going and blowing all of your savings in retirement, because you don't know how long you got left. So this is kind of the trap a lot of people seem to fall into. So this is apparently the top 5 traps that people fall into before the retirement. So now talking back, guys, right, I said to you I would probably done things differently, because I certainly do not want to be in the position when I come to retire at the age of 68. Well, I want to retire earlier, that I have to rely on a state pension alone. So I do really have to do something about it. But the things I would suggest that would I regret not doing, say 10 years ago when I was 30, it would have been handy if you start putting away some money. And we're not talking about the massive amount of money, okay? Because if you start sort of trying to undercut yourself too much with your expenditure in terms of putting the money away into the savings, you will soon stop it altogether. So it's finding the little things, like, say, if you did like £25 a week or £50 a week, or say whatever it is that you could afford, if you then add it up over, say, 5 or 10 years, that'd be quite a lot of money. Maybe not a lot for you obviously to retire, but you have a good chunk. So by the time you might have saved, say, I don't know, 10,000 or 5,000, there'll still be a good chunk for you as a starting point. So if I have started doing this 10 years ago, I might have been, say, £10,000 richer. Not in fact richer, but I would have been investing that money and I would have been just £10,000 better off. The next thing as well, I found that in the past, we all go through different jobs. You get yourself pay rises sometimes. Where we normally fall as a people, again, as a younger generation, when things like this happen, you automatically get the same feeling that you want to go and spend that money, because, well, you earned it. Again, this is the whole point. We feel, as a human being, we seem to need, not say reassurance, but we need rewards. We need to feel good. We seem to need to have the rewards. And I was guilty of that as well. I've had all of the best of cars when I was younger, because, well, I earned the money, and this is what I said to myself. I work hard, so I deserve to have that. So I did. But again, if you think about it, if I had the pay rise or started to earning more money, if I suddenly just put a little bit more money away into savings on a monthly basis before my lifestyle got to see that, then again, I would be in a far better position than I am right now. Another thing as well, guys, I wish that we probably paid a little bit more attention to little things or your little outgoings. It's only took, a good few years to sort of starting to look at your finances a little bit tighter. Not because you have to, because you start thinking ahead. And again, there's loads of things, and I'm sure a lot of you will find like a zombie type direct debits that just sit there that you're not really doing a lot with. You might have subscribed to a specific TV thing, or as a subscription or something else. There's loads and loads of things out there that we end up sort of paying for. Then you look back and thinking, do you know what? Do I actually use that? No, I haven't used that for X amount of time. Then just got rid of that. And to be fair, it might not sound a lot. You might think, oh, £5-6 here or £10 a month is not really a big deal. But again, if you add all of this up over the past 10 years, it would add up to quite a bit of money. And see, the last one as well is to understanding your figures. Okay, I don't know how many of you know or worked out, say, roughly what your pension would be, what sort of how many savings you have, what would roughly be your monthly outgoings if you were to retire and just lead your normal life. What's your total outgoings now? See, obviously things will change between now and your retirement. So knowing rough figures, okay, of where you need to be roughly, or how much you actually need to have in the pension or in the savings, is really important. And again, I'm rather guilty of that because I'm not really, as I said to you guys, I'm kind of a little bit 10 years behind where I wanted to be, but I'm 40 something, so I still have time to deal with my retirement. And this is what I'm going to be dealing with right now. I'm going to be concentrating, working things out, and making it work. I'm kind of starting on the back foot, but I just need to catch up. And see, many people think that retirement is a scary thing. I think it is a scary thing because if you don't have a plan or can plan forward, then yes, it's a little bit scary. But in the end of the day, retirement is not really an age. This is generally just like a cash flow problem because you can retire at any age if you plan for this well. So my idea is I would love to, of course, retire earlier. So would many people. I think there's tons and tons of things out there, like how to get yourself rich or how to retire like in 10 years. I don't know if that's possible. I'm saying to you, if you suddenly start from scratch, could you really get to the point when you can save yourself up, say 100, 200 grand? Probably not. But we just got to give this a go. What we got to lose? To be fair, the earlier you start to thinking about your retirement, the better you'll be going forward. So this is the reason why, guys, I've done this video, hopefully to get some maybe encouragement to start thinking about this, because this state pension, £1,000 a month, less than that, £230 per week. This is horrendous. A water bill is £85 alone. Okay, it's just absolutely madness. So anyway, guys, well, I hope you have found this video helpful. As I said, I will be doing some more videos. We'll be talking a little bit more about what my plans are, what I'm going to be doing. So if you do like those kind of videos, don't forget, thumbs up, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.